lifetime that we have. It takes millions of years for a human being to evolve at a physical level. At a spirit level or at a soul level, soul cannot evolve because it is immutable, pure in its essence. How much purity can you add to your soul? It is already pure. So at a physical level, we can only age during the lifetime we have been given. Soul need not evolve. So body cannot, soul need not. So what is in between is the consciousness that has to evolve. Say. How do you measure? What are the markers that measures the evolution of consciousness by following a particular system? Yoga Shastras, and especially Vasistha Yoga, Astavakra Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Advaita philosophies, they give you indications. But time and again, these are all belief systems. Beliefs indoctrinated by someone who has already experienced it. And Lord Jesus says, you can enter the heaven, but there is one condition. Be you like little children. How are you going to become? What is the parameter to measure that? Have I become like child? That innocence, that love, that openness. How to measure that? Now, when you meditate, yoga says you enter a state of fourth level of consciousness. Shastras talk about this state as a turiya condition. Even yogis cannot explain what this turiya condition is all about. They only say this is the fourth level of consciousness. So now we have to understand which are the first three levels of consciousness. How do you measure them? So science comes to picture. There are gadgets. They measure our frequencies in the brain, level of thinking. Consciousness, or rather thinking, affects the field of consciousness. For example, when I am quietly sitting under a tree and reading a book, I am so absorbed in reading a book. So what happens at that time? My mind slows down. Thinking slows down. When you are sitting with your beloved and not fighting, absolutely both in silence, mind also becomes very restful. Thinking almost goes away. So at that time, these neural network activities, it at its minimum. They don't fire together so fast. But children, when they're thinking and asking one question after the another question, before you even give the answer, they're ready with another question. The neural firing at each synapse is very fast. Now, these neural fibers, when they conduct this electricity because of this firing between the synapses, this electric current produces magnetic field. That can be measured instrumentally through MRI machine, fMRI machine, EEG, what they call as electroencephalograph. So if I hook you up with these 8 or 12 or 64 probes on your head, it will tell you how fast you are thinking, how fast your consciousness is changing. Now, we have understood so far waking consciousness, where we are thinking, mind is busy. Depending upon the speed of your thinking, this electromagnetic field will change. When we are about to go to sleep, what happens? Thinking slows down a bit. In a dream state, in REM state, again, the numbers of these waves that were being produced while thinking, let us see, at that time, generally it's 20 to 40 megahertz per second. But just about to go to sleep, it slows down to 10 to 15 perhaps. And when you are in deep sleep state, it comes down to 3 to 5 hertz per second. So we have understood so far 3 levels of consciousness. When we are awake, about to go to sleep in REM state, and the third level is deep sleep state, where it is 3 to 5 hertz per second. You are totally gone, unaware of the surrounding. That is a deep sleep state. Yoga talks of 4th level of consciousness. When we are in deep state of meditation, and especially in the heartfulness way of meditation, what happens there because of this pranahuti that transports us to a different level of consciousness, mind completely slows down. You feel absolutely relaxed, as if you are in a state of sleep. So what happens, state of sleep is where 3 to 5 hertz per second frequency is displayed on EEG. But unlike deep sleep, you are fully aware. And there is 5th level of consciousness, which is known as Turiyatit condition, which is very rare, very, very rare state of mind, where even while working, unlike meditating, it is easy to go into that Turiya state during meditation. But what about off hours when you are not meditating? Maybe you are working, you are lecturing, you are transacting in business, or you are arguing. What happens to your mind then? Is it still in Turiya state? While doing all these things, even romancing, and if you still remain in Turiya state, that is Turiyatit state, one who has mastered. Raja Janak is said to have such a state, Turiyatit. That's why he was a king as well as a sage. Now, with these scientific instruments, now we are able to understand various levels of consciousness, see, which are all measurable. Instruments don't lie. Sir.
Thank you, sir. I would like to ask you a few layman questions. Probably these questions stem from my own ignorance. What sets heartfulness meditation apart from other meditation systems in terms of approach and outcomes? I'm raising this question because I have had a very, very brief and short exposure to heartfulness meditation. I believe you have that sense of calling, you have that sense of inner urgency that leads you to meditation and such practices. I'm not exposed to other systems of meditation, but there should be other systems of meditation, I believe. Could you focus on other meditation systems in terms of approach and outcomes?
It will not be wise on my part to compare other systems. But I would like to share what is so special about heartfulness way of meditation. Because we do receive people from all sorts of backgrounds, those who have tried all kinds of systems. And when they say, this has happened because of this system and this is what was lacking in the other systems, like that. So it will not be nice to highlight the defects of the other system, but I would like to highlight what is so special about this system. When I was sharing with you in the morning the definition of dhyan, di plus yan, di means wisdom, not just ordinary wisdom, but the ultimate wisdom. And yan means a vehicle or the process that lifts us to that ultimate wisdom. Vehicle is there, process is there. Like if you follow this meditation of heartfulness, it's a process. But what energizes this process is pranahuti. The fuel for this vehicle is pranahuti. What is pranahuti? Pranahuti is, I would like to put it as Adi Sakti. Adi means original. Original in what way? Adi, well understood as something that prevailed before the creation, something that brought creation into existence. That is Adi Sakti. If you can tap into that and transmit that flow, that is pranahuti, and person who is open-heartedly receiving this will be able to experience the effect of this. Another way of understanding this pranahuti is, just as we have nourishment at a physical level, we take balanced diet to maintain this physical structure, we have various schedules of exercises. What else? Next sarira is sukshma sarira, subtle. We enrich our minds. We enrich our minds through education, interacting with our elders, teachers and professors, guides. And this is how we enrich our mind. Question remains, how are we going to enrich our soul? What is the food for the soul? It is precisely this. In one of the Upanishads, it is said, just as there is annasya annam, there is manasya manam. Meaning, annasya annam that nourishes annamaya kosh, manasya manam, one that nourishes manomaya and vijnanmaya kosha. Like that, pranasya pranaha, that nourishes our prana, our vital body. The soul, the causal body itself. And that changes our life. Day after day, when we receive this pranahuti, the Adi Shakti, we are able to get transported to the extent we allow our consciousness to fly. How flexible your preparedness is, how openness you are in transforming yourself. So it works with us at our level. That day you say, I don't want to meditate. Adi Shakti is not going to give you a headache. As long as we remain open-hearted and ready to learn, ready to become and be, this is what sets us apart. Second thing is cleaning. I have to give one small example. What is there to be cleaned in us? Our upbringing, the impressions we gather from the society. For one example is this. Religious indoctrination, that makes you hate. We have seen that often. Under the name of religion, more human beings are killed than any other cause. Forget the killing, but the amount of hatred that is there because of this. These are all indoctrinations. The way we eat, what we eat, these are also indoctrinations. The kinds of books you like, kind of jewelries you like, kinds of clothes you like, is because of our pre-exposures, likes and dislikes. Because of these likes and dislikes, we gravitate towards certain things. One example that comes to mind is the circus elephant. When that circus elephant was in its own nature, in the forest, Kerala is, I think, highest numbers of elephants in India. When they are free, they are invincible. But slowly and slowly, human beings with their intelligence tie up their legs when the elephant is just a baby and train for weeks together. And it's called what we call physiologically or biologically conditioning of the elephant. When it's tied with the iron chains with 4 legs on tree stumps, now it learns that anytime something is tied on my legs, I should not try anything further. Just stand there. Having been conditioned like that, he forgets his own strength and how strong that myself is. Now, having conditioned, now you can take this elephant to a circus and tie with a small rope on a plastic chair. He's conditioned. He has forgotten his strength. If he wanted, he can bring the entire tent down, but he has been conditioned. And such is our state also. Our lifestyle has conditioned us and made us forget our original nature. Through the process of yogic cleaning, slowly and slowly, to the extent we can tolerate our naturalness, we allow ourselves to be cleansed and expose the original conditions within us. Original condition is nothing but some adi. Again, it's fascinating to understand what samadhi is. Some means similar to adi, again the original state. When I arrive at my original state, free from all conditioning, it's samadhi. So, these 2 aspects are, to me, are very fascinating in heartfulness, where we meditate in the morning and soar higher in superconscious state. Through the cleaning process in the evening, we dive deeper in our subconscious. So what happens now? In the words of Swami Vivekananda, he said, all spiritual practices, if they are true to their words, should be able to expand the consciousness of a person. We all have, he was saying this, that we all have a certain level of consciousness. Imagine this consciousness like a thin film of water, very thin film of water, which is sandwiched between 2 giant oceans, one Pacific and another Atlantic Ocean. Imagine the condition of that thin layer of consciousness we are playing with. We are playing with nothing. But through meditation, if we can soar higher into superconscious state and dive deeper into subconscious, now that limited thin layer of consciousness is able to expand in super and subconscious state. So in a way, it's a broadband consciousness. And it happens very naturally, without any flamboyant rituals. Rituals constricts your consciousness. You are limited by your own rituals, you are limited by your own belief system. It again and again reinforces and makes you very narrow-minded. When you read this Brahma 25, it's a beautiful. What is Brahma though? It's worth understanding what is Brahma. Brahma, if you see also the photo depicted, Hinduism is criticized for the visual graphics they have been creating over the years. But once you have the understanding of why these visuals, why such a murti, why such an idol, it is only conveying a message. Message that could not be conveyed through words. You meditate over the form and you will see why that form was created. You've seen Brahma's murti, he has 4 heads. Right? Why 4 heads? Does such person exist in this world? No. But it is only to portray that this ultimate state has a 360-degree level of consciousness. It is no longer a thin layer.